Hey everybody, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Tuesday live. Time to talk. Come on in. I'll let everybody get notified. I'll give you a couple of minutes. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing good. I'm doing good. You know, back at it again. See, it's all about consistency, guys. It's all about consistency. You don't have a lot of control over a lot of things in the world, but you do have control over how consistent you could be, barring the fact that something major happens to you, right? Like an illness or um, something like that. You make choices every day to get up and go here or there, right? So, if you want anything of value, to manifest in your life, you got to be consistent, right? So let that be a lesson every Tuesday right here. Unless I change the day, to another day. I don't know. We'll see. But hopefully, guys, I'm really looking for your feedback on this topic that I put up today. Why ownership should be your number one priority. Why ownership should be your number one priority, and what text yellow gold. What does that mean? Very good life notes. How you doing? Very good life notes says text yellow gold. Okay. Yeah. So why should ownership be your number one priority? What do I mean by that? Please tell me in the chat. What do you think I mean by that? Well, I was driving around earlier today, okay, and not that it didn't strike me before, but it really kind of hit me today that at the end of the day, there are consumers and there are producers, right? And I guess this is a pattern that can be seen all around the world in every community. But to be point blank, if you're only the consumers in a community, then you are on the bottom of the rung. You are on the lowest totem pole. Now we can let the if it fits, wear it, right? I'm not talking about any particular community, but I'm just noticing patterns, right? And so like I said, if you are in the consumer class and your whatever community is known as this consumer class, you will always be exploited. You will always be at the mercy of the producers. So there's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. You're either a consumer or you're a producer, right? Even if you're a producer and you do producers consume as well, but the difference between a consumer and producer is the producer actually has some kind of ownership, right? They have a stake in something that's gonna gain them some kind of profit in the end. Very good life note says consistency is a goal always to strive for. Absolutely, got to be consistent. That's the number one value. You don't have to be the best, but you got to be consistent, right? And that'll take you further than you ever thought. So yeah, back to the topic though. Identify somebody and tell me in the chat right now. Who do you think are the consumers? And I know some of you probably scared to answer, but okay, I'll just put it like this: do you realize, or do you at least understand what I'm talking about when I mention consumers and producers? Say yes in the chat, because if you don't understand the difference between a consumer and a producer, most likely you are the consumer. Because I guarantee you, producers would know. That's why they produce, because they see where they can add value. They see where they can profit off of the consumers, right? And in my community, for instance, unfortunately, due to a certain set of circumstances, um, um, the community has been subject to being the consumers for a long time, and you can't progress as a people, as an individually, just being as an individual, just being the consumer. You have to provide some kind of value to the greater community, right? In order to, advance, right? What kind of value are you providing? I mean, okay, you get up and go to work. That's that's fine. you're punching the clock and you're providing value to that business that you work for, as an employee, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I've done it myself, but in my opinion, that's one of the lowest forms of providing value to the community, and it's nothing wrong with it. We all have to do it, right? We all have to do it at some point, and yeah. But you know, if that's okay with you, if you're satisfied with that status, like I said, I'm not knocking it. But if you have a greater vision, right? If you have a greater calling to, if you see yourself providing value in a greater capacity to your community, then you have to break out of that level. You have to break out of that shell of just being an employee, right? And I know what I'm saying doesn't apply to everybody, and everybody's not trying to hear this, but for those who it resonates with, then you know what I'm talking about, right? Part of the reason, and I always say this when I get on YouTube and whatever platform I'm on, part of the reason I'm on these platforms is to provide value, solely to provide value. It's not necessarily to be for entertainment purposes or anything like that. If you find me entertaining, that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm here to provide value and you know also build a business as well. So I think it's very important if you look to. I think it's very important to understand, you know, that difference, right? Because if you don't understand the difference between a producer and a consumer, you will, like I said, you will most likely fall into the consumer trap, and you will be you'll be there for the rest of your life. It's like being asleep. You know what I mean? And so when you look around, like I was looking around today, and it was hitting me as to how do we get in this state. And to be honest, be frank with you, I mean, it kind of bothered me, right? Because I said, um, this is really it's not good. It's been like this for too long. I look at the wealth gap between you know certain communities in this country, and you know, it's like, why has this wealth gap been the same for 150, 200 years? And one of the reasons is because they took the trades out of schools, right? I think it was probably in the 70s. Don't quote me, when they took the trades out of schools, and they pretty much stripped um, lower income families of the opportunity to advance economically, because the trades provide you with that ability, right? And so if a young man, young lady can go to a 6 month, 3 month program and get a skill right off the bat, they can, start a business, right? They don't have to wait 4 years to do it. And I know I sound like a broken record, but so what? I'm going to keep stressing this because, it's a travesty. I think that, you know, the trades haven't been exploited like they should. Matter of fact, uh, they've been it's been people, the opportunities for people to advance in certain communities, the rug has been snatched out from under them, and a certain ideology has been pushed, right, to get people to just get in debt, go to school, get in debt, to come out and maybe get a job in that field that they study, and you know maybe not, and for the most part, a lot of times it's not, right. And so you're left with what? You're left with words. That's it. Oh yeah, I got a degree, but I haven't found a job yet. And oh, but I am working, but I'm not working in my field yet. And I got 50, 100,000, $200,000 in debt. And but I'm working here, and I'll never be able to pay off my debt. The money I earn will never be able to service the debt that I have incurred, because I listened, right? I listened to society. I listened to corporate America, telling me that, yes, you will be a good employee. You will, we got a cubicle over here waiting for you. And you're slaving your life away in a cubicle or an office somewhere, and just trying to pay off the debt, right? But you got this piece of paper on the wall saying that you got your master's in this, or you got your You got your bachelor's in that, and like I said, I'm not knocking any of that, right? That is valuable in certain areas, but once again, I will stress, if it's not approached strategically, the educational system in America, if it's not approached strategically and wisely, you're just jumping into the wood chipper, the financial wood chipper, and you'll never get out, right? And unless you wake up, right? Unless you wake up and you you see what other opportunities out there. And once again, I'm not when I talk about the trades, and I mentioned the trades, I'm not necessarily talking about swinging a hammer. Very Good Life says trades were discouraged after 1975 and working for the corporate system. Yeah, one of the reasons that's very true. Very Good Life. Thanks for that. One of the reasons the trades were discouraged is because they realized, and you can put whoever you want to inside the parentheses that says they, right? You can figure that out for yourself. They realized in order to build a system that will benefit them, the few, right? They had to influence the masses away from anything that would signal independence, right? And in order for them to get the employees in there, they had to get rid of this. Oh, go get a trade, and all this other stuff, because, like I said, if you get a trade right off the bat, you can go out there and start your own enterprise. So, looking at that, and they said, okay, we don't need this competition here from the masses. We need them ignorant and asleep, right? And that's exactly what happened, right? Especially to communities that were already struggling. And so now, we have this big mess. Fortunately, there are programs out there that do provide skills for people, right, to go out there and pretty much blossom. I've seen it happen. Perry Galacno says, folk from other countries come with an entrepreneur mindset because that's how you survive. Very good point. Yes. There's the whole immigrant thing. Like, people got, a lot of people, Americans, right? They look at immigrants coming over here and seemingly passing them by economically. But the corporate system isn't as widespread in the world, right, as it is here in the West. So they're not, a lot of these immigrants come from countries where, they don't have the opportunity to get a job at a big company, downtown or whatever, and work their way up, and gain all the points so they can advance in the system like that. They had to get out there and they had to sell their fruit on the side of the street, sell their clothes or whatever. And so from the jump in those countries, they were already exposed to an entrepreneurial lifestyle, from a child, right? They saw their parents get up early in the morning and go to the market, the bazaar or whatever they got going on in some of these countries, and they had to sell their wares. They saw them pitch their tents and have the products or whatever, fruit, food, milk, cows, whatever. And, they developed sales skills from way back then, from watching generations of their own family live like this. This was a lifestyle for them. So when they come over here to the land of the milk and honey, they're already predisposed to be entrepreneurial, right? And so it's not a problem for them to get out there and go get it, right? Granted, there are certain things put in place to advantage certain groups over others, right? Because everybody can't come over here to the United States and do that, right? Certain groups can, because of the political climate and the way America is. Yeah. So, but aside from all that, that's one of the reasons why immigrants tend to advance when they come over here, right? Because they've been doing it all their life, right? It was a struggle for them to get over here in the first place. So if you come from that kind of background where you're struggling all the time, it's like a cakewalk when you get here. They take advantage of all the opportunities, all the social safety nets, all the loans, the grants the government gives them to set up businesses. Unfortunately, a lot of them set up businesses in communities that already struggling, and that's another that's another issue that can be discussed on another live. But at the end of the day, they're just taking advantage of the system. They're not thinking about, oh, these people over here in America are suffering already. No, they've been suffering or whatever in their own country, so they're coming over here and basically saying, hey, look, you guys don't know how I used to live in my country, so you guys got it made over here, and so I'm going to show you how it's done. And a lot of them do it, right? And yeah, so they end up being the producers, and once again, who are the consumers, right? So at the end of the day, it's a mindset. It's a mindset, and I'm pushing the producer agenda, right? The ownership agenda, the entrepreneurial agenda through my channel is the trades, right? Someone else, you can talk about something else, but this is where I'm focused at. This is what I'm pushing, and I want to see the community do better, right? I really do. That's one of the reasons I'm on here, not just to talk about what I talk about, but it's to actually expose, right? Expose the communities that I really care about, right? To something different, right? And fortunately, though, there have been changes in recent years where entrepreneurship has blossomed, has bloomed, and a lot of people from lower income communities have done very, very well for themselves, and that's due in part to the internet. When I was coming up, there wasn't no internet. It wasn't. You didn't have the chance to come on a screen and run ads and to millions of people at one time. In my time, you got to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get an ad on television. So we didn't have this opportunity. So as a result of the internet, the democratization of the media, right? You have individuals who probably would have never seen the kind of wealth they had now if it wasn't for the internet. And that's really, that's one example of how technology, in my opinion, has, for those who took advantage of it, right? Not just on here making a fool of themselves in their communities. That's one example of how it should be used, right? I mean, we've seen political dynasties, political structures fall in different parts of the world because of the internet. We see it now, right? We see it now where old ideologies are being challenged all day in the internet where it wasn't before. So it's a beautiful thing to see. And of course, it has its detractors, meaning a lot of people don't like that. The powers that be don't like what the internet has done. At least, certain things about it, meaning, people coming on here and challenging their power structure. But that's an age-old phenomenon. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting out there and consuming, right? We all need to eat. We got, we like nice clothes, we like nice cars, or at least a nice place to live. But if that's all you, if that's all you do and all you think about is consuming, buying the next shiny object, then I hate to say it, but that's a sad way to be. And unfortunately, a lot of us are that way, right? And part of what I do here is to empower people, right? Empower to get out there and build something, right? Get out there and not just build a cabinet or a I don't know, some project around the house or something on your job. Ultimately, my vision for what I do here is to show people a bigger vision of building your own community. You see what I'm saying? Getting out there and laying a foundation yourself with your community and building it yourself. Because whether you realize it or not, the producers in the community, right, are human beings. People, they're going to hire their people from their own community, right? So if your community are not producers, you're at the mercy of We're not hiring them because they're not one of us. They're not from our community. Okay. Hey, Reno Stubbs, how you doing, man? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for dropping by. So, why would you want to walk a tightrope like that and complain about it, right? Why would you want to walk a tightrope like that and complain about it every day when you step out of your house? You're subject to what a consumer is subject to, right? Because you don't own anything. You haven't built anything, right? Hey, Claudette, how you doing? Claudette McCoy in the house. Yeah, you haven't built anything, and we could complain all day about what so and so is doing, but that's all it is. It's words. That's it. I think we need to stop complaining. We need to start building. But if you're not unified enough to go out there and build within your own community, right? If you're not unified enough to do that, then you're just like a dog barking in the middle of the night, bothering everybody. And they just, people just shut that dog up. We don't want to hear him. So my vision, my dream actually is to see my community build their own community once again, like they had, back in the 20s. Yeah, those communities were destroyed because of the evils of the day and today. But that only exposes the type of character you have. It's like, okay, no matter how much it's against me, I'm going to still keep getting up and keep building. Right? Just, if it doesn't kill you, it only makes you stronger. And that's what we have to be as a community. Because, I mean, like I said, driving around this morning, and it's not just here in my local area. I traveled and I've seen it in different areas. People that I know have traveled have seen it as well. The consumer class within the community is prevalent, right? It's that consumer mentality, you can't. I mean, when this younger generation, what we see today on social media, and I know I'm going on a rant here, but I'm tying it back. I always like to tie it back to what I do, right? This younger generation is out of hand, right? It's like it's from the content of certain music that they listen to, and to what's pushed out there as popular, or whatever you want to call it. It's anti-growth, right? It's anti-growth, and it's they're building prisons every day. They're building prisons every day for the consumer class, right? And we have to ask ourselves, is this what we really want? And I know everybody can say, yeah, I don't want that, but I mean, what are you doing about it, right? Each one of us has to sacrifice something for the greater good, right? We have to sacrifice something for the greater good, and that's our kids. I mean, I'm not saying sacrifice our kids. I'm saying the greater goods are the next generation coming up, because we're only here for a certain time, and then we're out. But let's just say let's just say you believe in reincarnation, whatever. I'm just throwing it out there, and you come back. You want to come back to the same situation? I know I don't. I'll tell you right now. And if I do come back, I'm coming back like with some thunder, to really make something happen. So, yeah, ask yourself, I mean, does it bother you? Because sometimes I think, I don't want to be judgmental, right? But if a person isn't bothered by certain things, that tells me a lot about that person. If I'm not, I'll just turn it on me. If I'm not bothered by certain conditions, that means those conditions have conquered me. That means those conditions that means I'm asleep to those conditions, which is another form of conquering me, right? Because my eyes aren't open to see what those conditions are doing to me, or they have beat me down internally so much that I don't care anymore. I become indifferent. So if when you become indifferent to certain conditions, you're done. That's it. I can't, you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted to take the baton from me or whoever else. You can't be trusted, because a person that's indifferent doesn't care. They will sell you out in a minute, because they don't want to be woke. They don't want to wake up, right? And I always said that you know, trying to wake a man that's asleep, is very dangerous, right? Um, because you don't know what they're gonna do. They like sleep. They like to stay asleep, and they like, so comfortable. They're like, don't wake me up, man. You wake me up, you're gonna get it. That type of thing. So, um, yeah. So anyway, what do you guys think? I know I'm kind of talking in parables and so forth, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. If the shoe fits, wear it, and there's a lot of work to be done, and I'm trying to do it in the best way I can, by coming on here and teaching, being an educational, mentor, so to speak, of sorts, right? And say, listen, learn this skill, learn about these things, and you can apply it to starting a business if you're interested in it, and really do well. Perigo says, numbness and indifference are a plague with our current adult world. Yeah. Um, I think a lot of times as you get older, or as you progress in this life, you do get, a lot of us get numb. We were just, it's like, man, I just want to be in peace. I'm tired of that. Nothing's gonna change. I've tried that already. I've tried changing them. They don't listen. They took advantage of me. I've been burnt so many times, and so you just become hardened and you become indifferent and you just don't care anymore, right? And I think that's one of the worst places to be, because let's just say our strongest people in the community, the strongest ones, the warriors, the thinkers, the intellectuals, the fighters, the soldiers, right? Imagine them being indifferent. You're pretty much done. You're conquered, man. Anybody can come into your community and just ransack you, just take whatever, because the mind is gone. It's almost like that element. I mean, that elephant example. If you tie an elephant up, a big elephant that can crush you with one blow, step on you, kill it. If you take that elephant from a baby and you tie that baby elephant to a post all its life until it becomes a gigantic beast, right? And you take that rope off, it's because it's been tied up all its life, even as a gigantic monstrosity, behemoth, if you want to use that word. It's mentally broken, right? It can't even move. It won't even leave you, because its mind you've trained it from a baby to be tied up, to be chained, right? And so that's what can happen to communities. Yeah, that's what can happen to communities, right? But there has to be those in the community that are not going to go for all that, right? You can't tie them up. They'll die before you tie them up, right? And we have to have those individuals. We have to have that energy. We have to have that spirit, right? Otherwise, we're dead as a people, dead men walking, man. And that's a sad thing. To see a grown man, 6 foot, whatever, but his mind is gone. He doesn't have the initiative to start something on his own. He doesn't have the initiative to take a risk. Um, one of the good things about the pandemic is that people on the lower tier of the economic ladder, the waiters, the janitors, the waitresses, whatever, the cooks, and all of people that you would consider okay, they got those lowly jobs. They're actually the entrepreneurs, because a lot of them they couldn't work. They couldn't work during the pandemic, so it forced them to go out there and make it on their own, and it forced a lot of people to do that, right? Which was a good thing, right? I mean, it's nothing better than to have the red carpet snatched from under you, and now you're in the middle of the ocean, treading water, fighting for your life, and you better learn how to swim, because if you don't, you're that's it. So when these things happen, like the pandemic, everybody thought it was one of the worst things, and it did. A lot of people passed away because of it, unfortunately. But it forced a lot of people to really dig deep and find skills within themselves, and cultivate those skills and actually come out on top. A lot of people grew businesses, started businesses, and in the community, and are doing well. And they would have never have done that if it wasn't for those hard times they came. If they weren't chained to that job, right? Like the elephant. A lot of us, these jobs, they chain us, and we lose our passion, our freedom, right? Because it's comfortable. And yeah, sometimes we do need jobs, yes, but never let that job get you so comfortable that you lose vision. You lose the vision of the bigger goal you had before, right? And we've heard stories about that a lot, so many times, right? Somebody had this opportunity, and to get paid right away, or this job, whatever offer came along, and they took it, and they never, they left their passion. But I understand. We got families, we got kids to feed, we got bills. But today, you can learn how to work around that, because if you don't design uh your your path, if you don't design your path, it will be designed for you. If you don't own something, you will be owned, and you won't even know that you're owned. You're just thinking, oh yeah, I got a 401k waiting for me. Oh yeah, I got a retirement plan. Yeah, well, the market could drop anytime, and that 401k could plummet too, because it's tied to the market, right? Um, all those things are not safety nets like you think they are, right? But I guarantee you, if you know how to weld, right, barring the fact that you get injured or something like that, if you know how to go in and fix someone's plumbing, or if you know how to, you know, if you're a good handyman or something like that, in other words, or if you're a good IT person, like you can set up networks. You're a good network engineer, with computer systems. These are hard skills, is what I'm talking about. Okay, it's not just a piece of paper. Right? Those are the basic skills of what always would keep you safe at the end of the day when everything crashes. So if you have a skill, grow that thing, man. Grow that thing, and don't just settle. Own it, right? Put your stake in the ground and say, "This is mine. This is what I do." Let the world know I'm damn good at this thing, and nobody's gonna do it better than I can do it for you, right? And people, the world will respond to that, right? So, um, anyway, guys, that's all I have to say for tonight. Think about it. Ownership, right? Ownership is very important in your communities. Don't walk around thinking like this is how it has to be. Challenge the your environment, not just the outer environment. Challenge your mental environment. Are you okay with where you are right now, right? Or do you know you have more in you to and don't cheat yourself. We could cheat on a lot of people. People talk about, oh yeah, so and so cheated on so and so, but you can't get away with cheating on yourself. You can't get away with cheating on your the great. what was meant for you in a greater capacity. Right? That's the worst form of cheating, because you're betraying yourself at that point. Right? So anyway, guys, appreciate you coming on. Very Good Life Notes. Reno, yeah, Claudette. Appreciate you coming on, hearing me out on Tuesdays, and look forward to the next video. I did a video on how to sharpen your drill bits. These right here, using one of these. It's a good video. Gotta check it out. Okay, coming out Thursday, and hope you guys have a good one tonight. And stay safe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate you. Peace.